MLB Draft is coming up on Sunday night, and there remains some speculation about who's going to go #1 overall. Of course, the Nationals own that top pick, and you've got guys like LSU left-hander Cade Anderson and the high school shortstop Ethan Holiday getting the most attention. But who will go #1? Let's take a look at the odds when it comes to our partners out in Vegas. It is Cade Anderson with the shortest at -320, so potentially could see him suiting up for the Nationals next year. But don't count out Ethan Holiday. Of course, he comes from a family of very talented baseball players. Could he be the next stop in that generation? Only time will tell with the MLB Draft coming up this weekend. Let's get you set for all of the draft coverage. And joining us now is CBS Sports baseball writer RJ Anderson. RJ, we appreciate the time. Yesterday, we had a chance to catch up with RGM and Jim Bowden. He told us that things are sort of trending towards Holiday being that #1 pick. But if the Nats need pitching, Anderson could also be the move. What do you see playing out?
Yeah, so Anderson has been the name I've heard over the last several weeks, talking with scouts, talking with directors, and other people across the league. And there are a few reasons for that. I mean, this is clearly an organization that's under duress. You know, they are facing internal pressure to start delivering results sooner than later. And Anderson, a 4-pitch lefty, vetted by the SEC, he could be in the majors within a year's time. You know, you look at that organization and you look at some of their best players. It's a really top-heavy roster. You have C.J. Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, James Wood. Well, Gore and Abrams are only a few seasons away from free agency, so it's time to shift into winning mode in D.C., and I think Anderson would help that more than taking a prep infielder.
Looking at the Nationals, they are currently 38-55, 4-6 over their last 10, and they are well behind when it comes to the race in the NL East, 16 games back. When you take a look here at the highest picks they have had in their history, RJ, we know that those two in Holiday and Anderson are two of the bigger talking pieces there, but are there any other names people should be paying attention to that could maybe sneak in at #1?
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, you know, Ethan Holiday is the most famous player in this draft, but he's not even the best prep infielder from Oklahoma who has a big league father. Eli Willits, you know, his dad Reggie played for the Angels as an outfielder back in the day. He's now a coach at Oklahoma, where he coaches Eli's older brother. Eli Willits is the best player in this draft, in my opinion. You know, he's a well-rounded switch-hitting shortstop. The only tool he lacks is power. He'd be doing well to get the average there, but if he had average power, there would be no debate. He would be clearly the #1 player in this class. And he has something working in his favor, too, that's kind of a hidden factor, and that's his age. He won't turn 18 years old until in December. And if you look at past studies, you know, the empirical research out there, being super young and being super competent is a huge a huge predictor of future success at the big league level. So I think Eli Willits is the best player in this class, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's actually the ever name in the running with Holiday and with Anderson.
Willits is your top prospect on your list of top 30 players that you released before the College World Series. By the way, for those of you at home, make sure you check out RJ's work on CBSSports.com. He's got a full list of 30 players to keep our eyes on. RJ, from that list, who are some players you could maybe see rise and fall since you've wrote that article?
Yeah, so a couple of names I didn't include, but who were in contention and, you know, who may have made it if I wrote it today. Andrew Fisher, he's a first baseman / third baseman from Tennessee. It's a really weak class for college bats, and, you know, he's well-rounded. He performed against the SEC. I think he's going to go earlier than Billy Amick, his teammate last year, who had a similar profile, actually, did when he went 60th, I believe it was, to the Brewers. And another name I would watch for is Arkansas outfielder Charles DeValin. It's kind of a similar story to, you know, some of the players we've seen the Milwaukee Brewers take over the years, where he's really contact heavy, lacks power. But, you know, if a team believes that he can play center field or believes that there's a little untapped juice there, I could see him going in the top 50 picks as well.
What about a sleeper, maybe a name that we've been sleeping on, fans at home have been sleeping on, that you could see make some noise?
Yeah, so everyone loves Luis Arraez and Jacob Wilson and Nico Horner and, you know, these bats who rarely strike out, right? But what if I told you there's a switch-hitting catcher in this class that struck out 3% of the time in conference play? His name is Caden Bodine. He goes to Coastal Carolina, so not exactly, you know, a SEC powerhouse, but they're a very good school. They produced several big leaguers at this point, and he has a chance to be a really interesting player who I think may go earlier than expected. We're talking about a guy who I believe he swung and missed something like on 4% of the fastballs he saw inside the zone. There are guys who swing and miss more during batting practice. So I think that there are going to be some, draft rooms out there that say, well, this guy might be Alejandro Kirk. Why are we wasting time with these other options when we can take him in the middle of the first round or maybe a few picks later than that and have a really interesting catching prospect?
Definitely. We know Coastal Carolina had a very special year, came up just short of a College World Series, but maybe they can make up with it with a handful of draft picks. RJ, we appreciate the time. Make sure you check out his top prospect list on CBSSports.com right now. And in the meantime, get familiar with that first round draft order. It all starts with the Nationals with the #1 overall pick, followed by the Angels, Mariners, Rockies, and the Cardinals. Rounding out the top 5, the MLB Draft coming your way from Atlanta on Sunday.